not discriminate that night against homosexuals. KPSP Local 2's Arthi Nehru live for us outside the courtroom this afternoon where the judge earlier handed down his decision. Arthi?
Chris, Judge David Dowding said at one point he had already made up his mind to dismiss the charges against the men when he heard what words were used by the police department. He said it was only after he heard the testimonies by former police chief David Dominguez and Sergeant Brian Anderson, both who have admitted to making inappropriate comments, that he decided that these words were not targeted at anybody or any group of people, and therefore the police department did not discriminate in this operation.
After listening to all the witnesses and reading the briefs and listening to the lawyers, that this is a case where the police department discriminated against these 19 men because they were gay.
After 8 days of testimonies, 17 witnesses, including the former Palm Springs police chief, a judge decided charges will not be dismissed against 14 of the men arrested for indecent exposure and lewd conduct in the 2009 Warm Sands undercover operation.
I do think that this is vindication for the citizens of Palm Springs. It's vindication for the city of Palm Springs. It is vindication for the police department of Palm Springs.
The judge acknowledged that the police department has never made arrests or conducted a sting for male-female public sex. But he said when police decided to do this sting, they had plenty of evidence of an ongoing problem of men having sex with men in public.
I'm incredibly disappointed. Incredibly disappointed. My opinion, I think he focused on deciding that the defendants, were guilty, which actually isn't the point. It's are straight people treated differently?
It was only after the judge made his decision that Sergeant Brian Anderson, who has been accused of using a gay slur, spoke to us for the first time.
I'm not excited at all. I don't think anybody won here today. And the only thing I wish is certain people where I work, I wish they stood up behind us and supported us, and that didn't happen. And it's a shame that our chief of police had to lose his job because of this.
A lot of mixed reactions tonight. There will now be a pre-trial on March 14th. At that time, the defendants can decide whether they want to settle, possibly enter a guilty plea deal where they would not have to register as lifetime sex offenders, or they can decide to take this case to trial. Reporting live in Indio, Arthi Nehru, back to you in the studio.
Arthi, couple things for you. Number one, in essence, did the judge kind of say that this comment that's been thrown around, the supposed gay slur, wasn't in fact a slur? Is that in essence what his ruling was about today? And then also, I wanted to know, is this plea deal that these men were offered a couple of weeks ago still even on the table now that the judge has decided not to dismiss the charges?
Brooke, that plea deal for the defendants is still on the table. They can still decide to take it, and if they do, like I mentioned, they would not have to register as lifetime sex offenders. They would face the misdemeanor charges, though. As to the gay slur question you were asking me, the judge didn't say anything specifically about whether or not this is a gay slur. He just made the comment that this was not directed to any group of people, that the police department did not discriminate. Yes, he wishes the comment wasn't made. Again, that's what the police chief and Sergeant Anderson both also admitted themselves, but he said that these comments, like everyone's been saying, were not directed at any specific person.
Arthi, I'm curious about what we heard Sergeant Anderson say, that people behind us didn't really back us up, back the police in Palm Springs. Any indication who he's talking about? Are those people within the Palm Springs Police Department or other officials in Palm Springs? Any sense of that? He sounded quite upset about that.
You know, Chris, I asked him that question and he didn't give a clear answer. I mean, it could be possible that he was maybe alluding to the city council or the city manager, but again, he did not give a clear answer when we asked him that question.
All right, it'll be interesting to see how this all filters down as this continues through the courts. Arthi Nehru live at that courtroom this afternoon. Thank you, Arthi.
3 people were killed, at least 600 were